What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Lord of Mysteries, episode 11 and 12. We're only a few steps away from the finale of the season, so feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, consider becoming a channel member if you want to support me just that little bit extra, and let's get into this. I'm very excited to see where this goes. There was a lot of information last time, which of course I've taken notes on at this point. I definitely didn't go too in depth last time about some of those details, but I'm very curious to see how it goes with just a lot of the elements. I wonder how much we'll get on Derek, how much we'll be getting into the stuff of Madame Sharon, I'm forgetting her first name, and all the stuff of the killing of John Mayer, I think the name was, the mayoral candidate. Because obviously that's the direction we're leading. That's the biggest lead that they have towards what Lenevis is up to, what Doomsday is about, that kind of thing. So just makes sense to be where we go next. But depending on how relevant to the present arc it is, the Derek Berg stuff with the City of Silver and land, like Forsaken Land of the Gods, is potentially a whole wild, like, swerve towards other stuff. Oh? Oh, having a little snack there, buddy? Who are you? Oh? Mastermind, you in the mirror. What was that about? Great. Immediately starting with a bath scene, okay. Is this, Sharon? Jesus Christ. Very fucking ominous music. I think that's... I'm guessing that's Sharon. Hmm. Yeah, Maynard, that was the name. Leader of the new party. Okay, he was just a member last I heard. Hmm. Sharon Coy, yeah. So everyone thinks, uh-oh. Uh... Worrying. Last we saw that kind of magic was with the Demoness sect and Trissy. A charity foundation, okay, that she represents in some way. Good luck, my guy. Something tells me you're not living past a few moments. Oh, whoa. Ah. Okay. Wow, this, though it's using magic to force someone to be a puppet for this, this ain't that far from some stuff in the real world. Okay, so Sharon is puppeting all of these people to make a unified political movement to control the city for some reason? Jesus. Okay. Her? Alarm her. Who? Ooh, a strand of hair. That's a lucky grab, my guy. My god. I guess he does have, like, some level of precognition. Maybe he was gonna, like, notice that would be a thing. Huh. Okay, that's scary, though, that's her power. Oh, we're just getting straight into it? Holy shit, we're not wasting any time. Okay. Huh. To what end? My guy. Huh. Was I right in my offhanded mention of the demoness sect? Yeah, oh? It very much seems like she's demoness sect, but what does that have to play into Lenevis's schemes? And will Trissy get involved? Hmm. I like that we're not meandering too much, though. I appreciate that. There's plenty of mystery already. Okay. The nice thing about tailing someone when you have a seer is you can just divine your way to follow them from a distance. Oh? Oh, severing the connection. Holy shit, okay. How aware was she that she was being tracked? Yeah, that's okay. I'm guessing she's presumable. Oh my god, wow, okay. Huh. Oh, what? We're already getting the vaguely midpoint lore? Spirit world messengers, spirit world creatures, kind of spirit. Okay. We got some mention of that last episode. Interesting. Okay. But I'm assuming she's probably at least sequence 7 witch, but not sure beyond that. Anyways, Jesus Christ, what did we just walk into? Saintess. Numbness. Okay. Huh. If this is the demoness sect, it makes sense. Huh. Sequence 6? Whoa, okay. Huh. Damn. Hmm. Okay, so we're really leaning into the sort of puppeteer seductress vibe. Hmm. Huh. Okay, offering up Tingan City. Oh? Oh. Saintess of White. Jesus Christ. Whoa. Presumably either the leader or a leader of the Demoness sect. Holy shit. Okay. How many secret orders are, like, well, organizations are involved in fucking Doomsday? Oh, there's that fucking invisible feather again. Still very curious about how that one former archbishop who has that one grade 0 uh, artifact plays into all of this as well, if he does. But I feel like it has to be connected to the invisible feathers somehow, maybe. Strange. So the Saintess in White is trying to get into the kingdom, like infiltrate the kingdom to some degree, while Sharon is here doing other stuff. Anyways, interesting that Klein is investigating here, despite the fact that we already had Dunn, Fry, and some other people. Ooh. Oh. Okay. Yeah, okay. Nice little connection point, nice little tie. Huh. This is quite dangerous, given that she is the most powerful figure that, like, beyond her sequence-wise, that Klein has had to deal with. Directly, at least. Jesus Christ. Mummified bodies and spiderwebs. Huh. And, oh, so many puppets. And the statue of the primordial demoness. Okay. Huh. And there she is. Did he manage to get out in time? Seems like it. Either that or he's hiding. Hmm. Yeah, okay, he's hiding. My guy, are you behind a curtain? Okay, the cat saving the day, perhaps? Let me guess. Oh! What? What? What is happening? Is this a new clown power? An hour earlier. Holy shit. Oh. 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 Okay. Okay, so we're seeing in practice what a messenger looks like. Okay. So he never actually in person went there? Ooh, but he's empowering it with his own, like, title. Huh. What's that gonna do to affect it? I doubt it. Fair. Huh. Yeah, no, this is bound to make a far more powerful messenger. What does this do? Wow. Okay. Oh, okay. He's drawing on all kinds of power. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. I like how he set up that he was learning about that, and now we pay off everything. she could still get a sense that something was there. Makes sense. But a messenger empowered by the gray fog and a sun charm? Not surprised she missed him. Huh. Yeah. All right. Oh. We did not bring this with us last time, if I recall. Oh? Who's this? Who are you, my guy? As far as I recall, we haven't been introduced to this guy. I assume he's some kind of keeper of the artifacts and shit. Huh. Interesting that even this far into the season, we're still getting to learn more about the inner workings of the Blackhawks. I'm not surprised, really, but it's cool to see. God, this place looks cool. Huh. Ooh. Yeah, huh. It's really impressive then that the one artifact was able to make it metaphysically or physically to the gate itself to show that note decline in a previous episode. That's... huh. Yeah, and I imagine each of those holds some kind of artifact. Okay. So what is this artifact we'll be using today? Spirit Medium's Mirror. Really? Why? I guess we didn't fully know that it was Demoness Sect before. Okay. Cool. Now that we have that, maybe this can go better than the attack on Trissy, but we have one less person. Leonard was there last time, and she's more powerful. And she might know that we're coming. I seriously doubt it'll be this easy. Yeah. Okay. Continuing to see that growth from Dunn. Good. Huh. Statue just out in the open now? Huh. Was it the best idea to bring Kenley along here? He's like the most novice of them all. Ooh. Good old Nightmare. It's not going to be this easy. I seriously doubt it'll be this easy. There's no way. Yeah, no, it can never be that easy. Holy shit, Black Flame? Oh. Some kind of substitution, holy shit. We've seen stuff like that before. Similarly, actually, from the Demoness Sect, actually. Okay, she was hiding. Hopefully Kenley's okay. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, she's smart. Ah. Okay. What's... Oh, no. God damn it. Are we immediately losing Kenley? Yeah, no, you don't have time to help him right now, unfortunately. Yeah, okay, Jesus Christ. We are way over our head. Yeah. Oh, she realizes something. Okay, how is this gonna go? I hope we can save Kenley, but I sort of doubt it. Okay, she's at least somewhat asleep. Come on, my guy. Yeah, use the Grey Fog. That'll help you break free. Once again, can't be that easy. Another substitution. That mirror substitution is what we saw from Trissy. Yeah, and it counterattacks. I like that we're at the point that I'm able to actually sort of pick out how some of these things work and what makes sense in the. Oh, holy shit, what the fuck? Kenley just fucking spit out his own heart? What? Yeah, no, you're not gonna be able to beat her. She's 2 tiers above you. Oh? Okay, the mirror protected me. Well, him. Why did I say me? I'm getting too into it. Ooh, going for the stat. Oh, whoa. There's some kind of link there. All right, done. What have you realized? Yeah, connected to the statue somehow. Yeah, she has a lot more powers than we realize. Nice, the tarot cards. Okay, but she redirects. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. The death knell? Oh. Oh, holy shit. Okay. Is this just entirely separate from the Aurora Order Doomsday? Is this just another massive, like, apocalypse level threat? Yeah, he's got the sun chimes for this exact kind of moment. The final apocalypse. Sandman? Okay, he didn't quite end up using the charm. What is this? Okay, so pleasure seems to be a sort of protective magic. And thanks to the statue, it's amplified. But Dunn is powerful. He's not as powerful as her, but yeah, I don't think Kenley's making it out of this one. Oh, what? Holy shit. Okay, she's been fucking playing around. God, we're seeing fucking superhumans fight at this point. A well-advanced sequence 7 versus a sequence 6 empowered by an evil god. This is wild for level of power. Oh, the flower magic again. We've seen what that looks like. Oh fuck, but I don't think he's gonna be able to get out of it like Leonard did. Ooh, okay, but he has some means of stopping it. Okay. Oh, I love when we get that kind of shit in anime. I love when it's just basically you can't see what's happening sometimes. Okay, he has the mirror. Yeah, and you don't want to risk Dunn looking into it. Yeah, you got precognition, my guy. Hopefully it works. Oh, throwing the mirror. Holy shit. I mean, when you know where someone's gonna be, it works. There we go. Okay. I think this time we got it. She might be able to do some damage before she goes, but And there goes the statue. Yeah, just keep hitting it. Don't let it go. Yeah, all that fucking anger for what happened to Kenley. Holy shit. Ooh. Yeah. Why do we gotta keep losing all of the, like, nice people? Neil was, like, the heart of everything. Oh god, that corpse. And then everyone's free. While Kenley was... He was the new guy, effectively, despite not being the newest. He was the rookie. The guy who wasn't cut out for it. Oh yeah? Okay, one of the potions. Something tells me that's not going to work for Kenley, though. I had a feeling it was a bad idea to let Kenley on this mission. Oh, okay. Yeah. If he had realized, he would have been there from the start. Yeah. Oh. What was that? Oh. What we saw at the beginning of the episode. I didn't get a clear enough shot of... Like, we didn't see clearly enough who was eating the body and what the body was of, but it did occur to me that it might have been done. I had no reason to believe it, but... What the fuck? Oh! What the fuck? Why? Why did he do that? Why did he decide to take a bite of my guy? Why? Huh. Well, obviously, it had to do with some kind of compulsion, because it wasn't the same color. It was not the same color, but it had the same general look as the compulsion that Sharon had people under. Maybe it was the Saintess in White, because she was aware that things were potentially going poorly for Sharon, and obviously wasn't caring enough about her to step in to save her, but perhaps with the destruction of the statue and the death of Sharon, took an opportunity to fuck over one of the more powerful Nighthawks there. I could see that. Because it really didn't seem like it was done losing control. That might happen because of this, but it didn't seem like that's what was happening yet. It really much more felt like a compulsion. What the fuck? I really enjoy, though, how they had that at the beginning, though. Like, how they hinted at that. Because all it gave us was a sort of behind-the-head view of Dunn and Klein's reaction, but no other context. And it was just enough that I was like, that sort of looks like Dunn. Funnily enough, just like from the like hair and eyebrows almost. Well, not eyebrow, but sideburns. But obviously it wasn't enough for me to be confident in that. This is a very surprising episode for a variety of reasons. Obviously, there is the surprise of Kenley dying and Dunn, like, eating his corpse under some compulsion, as I was talking about. But there is also the surprise to me that none of this obviously tied back to Lenevis. None of this clearly had a connection to Lenevis. This, once again, feels like an entirely separate element, which is very surprising to get this late into the story, but also it could have some underlying connection that we still don't know about. We didn't know going into this whether or not Sharon was actually tied to Lenevis in any way. We just, in investigating Lenevis, had the coincidence of someone that might have been connected to Lenevis died right before Klein was going to go investigate them, being John Maynard, and that leads us to discovering all of this, of course. But very much so, this is a very isolated episode. This really just immediately jumps back into the Sharon stuff and does not hold back, does not wait. The real main, like, sort of lore thing we get in this episode was going into the Chanis Gate to retrieve the one artifact, where we meet this one sort of keeper of the artifacts, which, interestingly enough, we don't get any name for or anything. But really, more than anything, this episode seems to more be about setting up more with the Demoness sect, how powerful they are, what some of their higher power figures are, being, in this case, the Saintess in White, who we don't get any context of what level of Beyonder she is, but she's obviously, at least within the organization, at a higher position of power than Sharon was, very capably so, but obviously also has some very powerful abilities based on the fact that they were just a pile of moaning and in pain flesh under their robes. So, you know, that's not the kind of thing that you get at low sequence power. And beyond that, of course, there's the stuff with Kenley dying and Dunn eating him. That's probably something that's going to be more for next episode and is more just like an insane cliffhanger more than anything. And something I find sort of weird and interesting in all of this is it's hard to say what exactly the end goal of Sharon was. Obviously, she was taking control of the government in Tingen City for some purpose, but is unclear what specifically she was going to do. It probably had to deal with some doomsday event that she was trying to set up, whether, though, that is connected to what the Aurora Order is doing, or if it is entirely separate and just another case of a Demoness sect member trying to bring disaster, as they are to do, is unclear. But beyond that, just functionally speaking, that's most of the episode, honestly. The other main part is the stuff with the messenger, which I very much am interested in how much we're going to get use out of that in the future. Because that is, especially when empowered by the Grey Fog and the Sun Charms, a very powerful ability. Of course, I can see how even just regular use of the messenger ritual and stuff would be powerful and useful of this way to more safely and concealed go to places and look into stuff. It's basically a scrying spell of sorts, just more sort of tactile and direct. But then when empowered as much as it is, it shows just a level of scale more value. Because somebody who is a sequence 6 was not able to fully detect him, despite him only being sequence 8. She, of course, had a sense that something was there, but she couldn't pinpoint it, and ultimately wasn't able to really do much about it. She got a sense of something, and when she ran into Klein later in the fight, she was able to sort of draw it back to that being him, but he was able to stay largely concealed, which is very impressive. It makes a very, very strong addition to his arsenal. Beyond that, though, just to more generally talk about some things, I very much appreciate this episode in a few ways. One of them is one I acknowledged in the episode, being that we're at this point where even though new powers are being thrown at us constantly, like her pleasure and freeze abilities weren't really fully explained, Dunn pulled some stuff that seemed pretty new. Generally speaking, I could have a grasp of what was going on, because we have an understanding of what kinds of powers different Beyonders begin to have at this point. We've had one engagement with an assassin Beyonder before, who was specifically of the Demoness sect in the form of Trissy, so we already know what some of those tools in her arsenal are. The mirror substitution, which then gets sort of extended to be even more powerful by the fact that not only did she use it to protect herself and counterattack, but she also used it to, unintentionally to a degree, counter the mirror sealed artifact, because in the eyes of the mirror, it was just a mirror, so it reflected back at Kenley, and that's why he dies. Everything is starting to make a lot more sense now in the abilities and how they work and what they can do, that kind of thing. There's still a lot of questions. Some of the abilities Dunn used, we don't know the full context of. Some of the things like Pleasure and Freeze, we don't fully understand the details of, but it's pretty clear the Freeze is an offensive, a projectile that can freeze someone over. Pleasure seems to mainly be a defensive, like, cocoon move, but then also has these, like, strands that can infect people, it seems. The powers are starting to make sense, is the ultimate thing I'm trying to say here. Which admittedly, they may not to the same extent to someone who is casually watching this. I am really paying a lot of attention and trying to take notes and rewatch episodes every time I watch them when I'm taking notes, that kind of thing. So there is a lot of this that I am taking in much more deeply, arguably, than someone who is casually watching. If I was casually watching this rather than doing it for these videos, probably a lot more of this would go over my head. But even for people who are watching more casually, I feel like this is the point in the story that if you aren't truly completely lost already, things might start to make a little bit more sense for some of these things. Next up, though, I want to touch on Kenley for a moment. Since he was introduced, has always been the rookie, the new guy, archetype-wise. He's been around, obviously, longer than Klein, but he hadn't been around for even a year. I think it was about 6 months since he joined when first we met him, and we've never gotten a lot from him. We've never really spent a lot of time with him, but he has very capably filled that role of the rookie, the person who is learning but may not be really cut out for this kind of job. He doesn't really have the willpower for it. He gets scared easily. We see that in this fight. He effectively panics in this fight, and that's what gets him killed. But, of course, that doesn't make it any more tragic, even if we know exactly how he died and how it's, to a degree, the fault of his own lack of training in dangerous scenarios. More so where I place the, not necessarily blame, but questioning of decisions, is on Dunn for bringing Kenley along. Of course, they can't just pamper Kenley, they can't just not send him on missions. And of course, we didn't know how powerful she is. We didn't know that Sharon was a Sequence 6. But in the Trissy situation, things were already very difficult. They weren't able to catch her. She was able to get away, despite bringing 4 people instead of 3, and them being among the more capable members of the Tingan Nighthawks. Of course, Klein has grown in power since then, so bringing Klein along this time was of more value than it was the previous time. But I very much feel like someone like Fry or Leonard would have made a lot more sense to bring. Perhaps it's a case of some minor cut content of explaining why some people weren't available, like they were already on patrol, or they were busy with some other assignment or whatever, and therefore Fry and Kenley were the only people available, and Dunn didn't want to leave Kenley to guard the Chanis Gate. Either way, though, regardless of any of that, it is just a very rough case of Kenley was not prepared for this kind of situation. He really never would have been unless he managed to sort of improve and elevate himself further in power and that kind of thing, but that would have taken a long time. So it's a shame. It's a shame. Not much of a surprise, but a shame. Beyond all that, though, I think I've pretty much said all I want about the episode itself, but I do want to take a moment to talk about it in contrast to last episode, more specifically in 2 facets. One is the fact that though we got into this situation because we were investigating Lenevis, it once again has redirected our attention away from Lenevis. And with that, it makes it so the story has multiple times had our characters pointed in the right direction to solve the greater mystery and stop Doomsday, potentially, only to get distracted. Which in some ways, as a viewer, can be annoying. I will admit that. But if it serves an actual purpose to make sure that we know all of the elements, like if the Demoness sect is actually involved in this grander plan, or they are just a very integral element to something later down the road that we really need to have set up now, or alternatively, if us being constantly distracted from Lenevis and the Aurora Order leads to the Aurora Order having much more of an advantage, and us being at that disadvantageous spot where the Nighthawks can't stop Doomsday in time and just have to do damage control, which could lead to what we saw of Doomsday in the first episode, then that also has some merit. But if it's just sort of arbitrary, the story is pushing us towards the main plot and then pushes us away and then pushes us back, pushes us away again, that does get a little weird to me. But I reserve judgment on it until we see more of the season. Alternatively, though, the part that does weird me out more is the post-credits portion of last episode. We did not touch on any of that this episode. One of you did comment on last video talking about how supposedly some of that stuff is going to be tying into a like special episode that's releasing later, which very much seems like the case at this point. I don't see how they're going to tie that into the story at this point, given that they completely ignored it in this episode. We only have 2 episodes left after this. But ultimately it leads me to the question, why put it in this episode? My only thought is that they really wanted to make sure that they set up elements for the special episode, but if they put it anywhere other than where they did, it would take away from these last 3 episodes. Depending on how the final episode goes, I could see it being something that might distract from the finale. I understand that. And obviously I don't know what next episode is going to look like. And then this episode, I feel like, has a very strong bookending of the done eating Kenley stuff, or at least what looks like done eating Kenley. So I understand why they didn't want to put in this episode, but it is a bit of a shame that it means that effectively we just get this teaser towards something after the season that really doesn't do anything now and isn't acknowledged. It very much feels like, chronologically speaking, that event with Derek and stuff may very well be an event that doesn't happen until after the current arc, and just because of the reasons I discussed prior, they slotted it here for whatever reason, which is a shame. I will admit, it is a bit of a shame, because as much as I loved that scene, as much as I loved what that was setting up, the fact that they show us all these interesting things and introduce us to these new characters and ideas, only then to not do anything with them because they're not relevant yet, is annoying. It is very much annoying. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I am still very much appreciating the show. I am very much enjoying it. It's a great ride so far. We're really getting into the meat of it at this point. People are dying. We're dealing with bigger threats. Klein is being able to interact with this stuff a lot more actively because he's grown in power to at least stand in the ring with some of these people. And overall, I'm just excited to see how these next 2 episodes go. So let's get into episode 12 now. I'm very curious to see how this episode goes, because this is the second to last episode. If we are to deal with a lot of the stuff we've been introduced to at this point, this episode and next are going to have to be really fucking packed. Either there's plenty left over, like we only stop Doomsday and don't learn about a lot of other stuff, like don't end up going to the Hornacus mountain range yet, which, admittedly, the chance of us going there in the first place was potentially sort of foolhardy, but still, there's a lot that's going to be left on the table if we don't just pack these episodes full. So, let's see. Presumably the Lenevis stuff is going to be what we're going into this time, but obviously we have to resolve what the fuck happened with Dunn at the end of last time. Like, why he was fucking eating Kenley? That's a pretty good question, I'd say. Or do we just pick up... Oh, the feather. What? That's the same voice as our opening narration. What the... Okay, yeah, what the fuck? Oh. Is this perhaps just playing into Nightmare? Like, it's fucked up. Really fucked up. But what would the acting method of a nightmare be? There's almost certainly more to it than that, but... Yeah, that's a good idea. Dangerous, but a good idea. So we're just gonna move past it. Huh. No, I doubt it. something missing. Something about his spirituality. Bomb? Huh, something missing. I'm guessing it's like his spirituality or something related to his soul or something. Hmm. Our second funeral in just a few episodes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually completely forgot about that death flag. Something wrong with Dunn? Yeah. Is there more to Dunn bringing Kenley along than we thought? Yeah. Okay, there is a link. Okay, so we weren't just getting diverted. Okay. Not entirely. Yeah. Yeah. And there goes the flag, rather symbolic. Huh. 2 months earlier? Do we get to see a bit of this contingency? The connection they have? Lenevis. Ooh. Interesting. Hi, Leonard. Are you somehow following the past? Huh. We've seen so little of this guy. He's only sequence 8, but he seems very fucking important. Hmm. Return of the Earl? Huh. Yeah, he's not doing great. He's isolating. I mean, it makes sense he's not doing great, but... Oh, contacted both of them. Yeah, that's fair. Those are two people that are very well informed, all things considered. Hmm. Time to try to figure this shit out yourself, though, at the same time? Yeah. Hmm. Do we get any response? None. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yes? Or no? Concerning. Giant skeleton fists. All right. Ooh, okay, so they can correspond letters that quickly. Okay. That's good. That's important. Yeah, vampire is the thing that came to mind when I heard the blood being drained. Oh. Huh. Yeah, I feel like that's the more likely of the two. Yeah, because we're aware, at least to some degree, of what the sleepless path is. It wouldn't be hard to find out if vampires on that list. Huh. And then immediately an answer from Dahlia as well? Or is this the... Okay. Oh. Okay. Following up on this. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. All right, that lines up. Still the Shadow, though. I have a feeling he might have gotten some help from the Shadow. What is Leonard's deal? God, divination is useful. Okay, a letter. A lot of those lately. Oh, no. Oh, no. He planned this. Ooh, the same writing again. Is this tied to Lenevis somehow? Ooh. Yeah, a lot of negative emotion and death. Fools. I have planted a bomb. Holy shit. I'm assuming they're talking about the monster in Magose. Yeah. The continued connection of the like crimson writing. Huh. But what merit does Lenevis have in telling them about this? Is it just the love of the chase? Is he a bit of a Riddler-esque figure? It's called a baby. Yeah. Looks to the ghost, not ghost, shadow again. Interesting. He looks to the shadow before agreeing with Klein, huh? Oh, God, it sucks to see her suffering this much. She's just a normal lady. Yeah. Is it done? No. Magose walks in. What? Why is she here now? Yeah. I still don't know if it's Magose or Magos. Yeah. You never got a chance to use spirit vision on her. Following the child. Yeah. Okay, good. You remember. What is it going to do when you look at her? Part of my theory was this is what caused Haver to go out of control. Holy shit. Yeah, I think I was right. Holy shit. Whoa. Okay, I think I was right on that front. Yeah, it's right there. They figured it out. Why was she compelled to come here? Why to Roselle now? The descent of an evil god? This was a fear that Roselle had? Holy shit. Ooh. The whistle's suppressed? Time for a charm? Yeah, he has two of those. Okay, play it cool. Oh. Oh. What? Okay. They're working in tandem. They're in crisis mode. Yeah, okay. Good for her to be aware, even if just a little bit. Hi, Don. I'm concerned what getting him involved could be, though, given that we don't know his circumstances. What? Okay, I couldn't parse that out. She's tearing out her own hair? What? Ooh, God. The way that she just switches to happiness the moment that Lenevis is talked about. Holy shit, okay. Huh. And right next to him was Sharon, huh? Yeah. Huh. A swindler at heart. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Fucked up. Fucked up that he, like, controlled her this way. Oh. We see a bit of the truth. Holy shit. Yeah, okay. So she did not understand what she was getting involved in. She did not know. God, that's fucked up. Boundless resentment. So with these, ooh, God. So with these ties to a descendant of death via the skull and the resentment of the city through this ritual, yeah, holy shit, something of the true creator is brought in. Yeah, some kind of avatar or aspect, or just the true thing. Yeah. I mean, that, yeah, okay, yeah. There's something going on here. They wouldn't just let this plan fall apart this easily. They intentionally told them there's a bomb. Yeah, yeah. This is all still part of the game. Ugh. Oh. Yeah, no, she's not gonna last. That's not good. Yeah, we're in disaster mode. Yeah, have her spread the message. Sequence for mythical creature. Okay. Yeah, everyone needs to be involved. All hands on deck. This is easily the most powerful thing we've dealt with. That's demigod level. Is it still being suppressed? Okay, good. Contact him. Yeah, good. To the point, quick. Get him just the key info. Straight to the Chanis Gate, holy shit. Done. What's wrong, done? 2. God damn it. Can't just be a coincidence. Okay. Blood Vessel Thief. Okay. Still worth using. Ooh. Okay. Can't use it for more than half an hour. Yeah. You're gonna need to pull out all the stops as well. Okay. Selena. Saint Selena. What is going on with Dunn? A core seal? We're seeing some people we haven't properly met. What is influencing him? Why do they need this? What does it do? This is obviously something they much more carefully keep sealed. But what the fuck does it do? Ashes of a High Sequence Beyonder, okay. Something is influencing him. Okay. Ooh, the dramatic music. We haven't really had this kind of music before. Oh, of course. Of course we go to them. It's not just generically the people that you have to be protecting, Klein. Uh-huh. Stall. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. I... Phew. Let's hope. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, she's falling apart. Ooh, we finally hear the voice of the shadow. Yeah, why? Get something to calm her down. Ugh. To an extent, that's right. Right, yeah. She's misinterpreting that, but... Oh? The child itself. Go see a friend. Oh, boy. It does have to do with the core seal being moved? Stand guard here? No, that... What? Oh. Okay, he's aware. Okay, but he doesn't seem angry. Never destroyed or reduced. One carrier. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's burdening himself with all of the dead of the sleepless pathway in Tingen City. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah. Oh. There might still be more going on with Dunn. It feels like maybe something is happening, but that explains that. Holy shit. Oh my god. He doesn't. He tries to keep things together. Yeah. Play to her insanity. The final act. Once again, this overarching narrating voice. Yeah, no. There's no holding this back at this point. Holy shit. Ooh, okay. It's the St. Ashes that are influencing it already. What the fuck? Okay, so pulling that out was a bad idea. Potentially, at least. It's just causing everything to go out of control already. What the fuck? Holy shit. Once again, a really focused episode. You're gonna leave me there? What the fuck? Okay. Well, so if we're to trust the glimpse of Doomsday we got in the first episode, obviously things are more complicated than we thought, but things need to end up getting to a church of some kind, whether that is just another part of the actual Nighthawk like base or just like an actual church. That was sort of the environment that we had in the beginning of the series. For the actual birth of the creature, obviously we're going to have to deal with whatever it is turning Magose into. Holy shit. We're okay. And we're finally getting a glimpse of Leonard's deal. He has some kind of person or being in his shadow that it talks to him, advises him. We've had hints at this for a long time, but to see it a bit more from his perspective is very interesting. What is the thing talking to him in his shadow? It's talking like it is some kind of mentor figure almost. I think it called him like a lad or something like that at some point. Huh. And then there's Dunn. There's the thing with Dunn. Huh. What he took from Kenley, and when he was seemingly, like, drinking his blood or whatever, was that which Beyonders leave behind that cannot be destroyed. That can be taken into the being of another person of the same path. He's literally burdening himself with that of his fallen comrades. Well, that certainly sets up the finale. Holy shit. Once again, a very packed episode, a very tight episode. We're at the point where we're not really being introduced to too much more information outside of the details I was just mentioning. It's really much more the unfurling of knowledge. Things we have learned are finally coming into play. Things we knew were going to happen are finally happening, but not always in ways that we expected. Lenevis, to some greater degree than we ever could have thought, has been preparing for this moment, knowing what was going to happen. He left that letter knowing that it would be found, or at least hoping it would be found, to effectively warn the Nighthawks of how dire the threat is. And then whether due to Lenevis's specific influence or just that of this child that will be the body of the true creator, Magose finds her way to the Nighthawks before she falls apart. And it seems like, based on what Leonard / the Shadow said, it sort of effectively happened this way in this moment because of the unsealing of the Saint's ashes or Celine's ashes or whatever it was. Leading me to think that even if nothing was actually concretely influencing Dunn to do what he has done, which is still possible, there is this weird narrator thing happening now, where there's this crimson writing that is narrated by this voice that, at the very least to me, sounds very much like that of the intro narration of what Beyonders are and what they try to ascend to. So at the very least, so much of this has been planned and so much of what is going on is known. There is some figure or entity or person who either is manipulating events, effectively writing a script for what is to occur, or is able to know all of this despite not being there directly. But ultimately, the way I'm looking at this is, regardless of how much direct influence on individual people there is, whether or not Dunn choosing to take the ashes out of the Channis Gate was entirely his own decision or under the influence of something, regardless of that, him doing that is escalating events, it would seem. And I think perhaps that maybe that escalation is what Lenevis wanted. He wanted to make sure that the Nighthawks were at their most vulnerable and thinking that is the most dire of situations. He tells them that there is a bomb, that there is this urgent threat that will only become more dire the longer they wait, and then, by sheer coincidence, which, as we've established in this series, there are no real coincidences, Magose finds her way here now, right after they realize how big a threat it could be. It very much feels like Lenevis is intentionally trying to escalate the situation in the eyes of the Nighthawks so that they escalate it further themselves, potentially instigating Doomsday itself. But beyond that, beyond what specifically Lenevis is trying to do here, there are some very interesting elements to this episode. Obviously, we have the sort of red herring stuff of worrying about Dunn and what's up with him for most of this episode, that though there might still be some stuff of him being influenced or something, the aspect of him potentially being a mutant or a vampire or something like that is sort of rectified just throughout the episode. So that is a good point of tension for the episode that then is pretty quickly resolved. It's fun, it's nice, I like it, it works, but there isn't really too much more to say about it, other than, cool, vampires are a thing, or at least were. And beyond that and the stuff with Lenevis and Magose, there really isn't too much more to this episode. That's really what the vast majority of this focus was on. Admittedly, the one other thing to mention with Dunn is, though he did not get a concrete answer of if he's a mutant or anything like that, what the deal with his erratic behavior is, he did get the answer that his erratic behavior will bring great danger. Whether that is to say that the thing he was doing with Kenley will cause great danger, I sort of doubt that. I think that's just sort of its own thing, though it could potentially come at some great risk if he were to lose control. We don't know how taking in those like Beyonder aspects affects him, but regardless, something about his erratic behavior is dangerous. And that's where it leads me to the idea that perhaps we're sort of dealing with a double whammy here of the thing that we were actually worried about, of this stuff connected to draining Kenley, is not what to be afraid of. That is not something to be scared of. That's not the issue. That's not erratic behavior. What is erratic behavior is everything else, is the pulling the ashes out of the Channis Gate, that kind of thing. It leads me to the conclusion that there is something dangerous related to Dunn's behavior that may be compelled or something. And it's entirely possible the Kenley thing was compelled as well, but there's enough reasoning behind why he would do it that we don't suspect it for now. Ultimately, though, Dunn is playing an important piece in Doomsday. Whether that is stopping it or causing it or both, who's to say? We shall see. But that is sort of where I'm at with Dunn. Beyond Dunn and the Lenevus stuff, though, there's really just some minor details. First off is the fact that Azek has been contacted very briefly, but Klein acknowledged how dire things are, and that has to do with the true creator and may tie back to his past and his son. Inevitably, those are things that will get Azek's attention. Potentially, if he has means to do so, bringing him back to Tingan City in time to help with stopping Doomsday. Additionally, they have contacted the Holy Church and reinforcements are coming. I wouldn't be surprised if Dali might be among them, but we need to be stalling for that. We do not have the time yet, and we need to find the time. Unfortunately, as I was talking about, it may seem that unleashing the ashes may actually have done the opposite of accelerated events. But regardless, there is reinforcements coming, we just need time. And finally, pretty much the last thing I want to touch on is that though Klein did not specifically reveal what they were, Klein implied to Dunn that he has a tool at his disposal, being the Sun Charms. He didn't say it was the Sun Charms, he didn't show them, but he implied that he has something that he can use in a pinch alongside the sealed artifact that he now has, that is a fairly interesting artifact that I'm curious to see how it comes into play, seeing as it can supposedly, at low chance of success but possible, remove or disable a single power of a Beyonder, which is interesting. That's very interesting. It's the kind of thing that could turn a doomsday apocalyptic event into merely a massive disaster that can be rectified. Because believe it or not, if you are fighting something that can explode everything in a 5-mile radius with its mind, and you turn that off, then you're just dealing with whatever other powers this monstrous doomsday event creature can do, just as a random example. And then of course, whatever the ashes are doing, we still have, even if they are in part responsible for exacerbating things, they are still a powerful tool that will likely be able to be used to some extent here to help. And of course, we have the Sun Charms. Azek might get here, Dali might get here, other reinforcements might get here. We have help from Mandated Punishers and the Machine Hive Mind, however that plays out. We are in the heart of the Nighthawks operation though, so we're mainly going to be seeing them probably. And at the end of the day, I am just incredibly excited to see how all this plays out in this final episode. There is a lot that could happen. I imagine we could have some character deaths. I imagine that we could have some character reveals, potentially stuff related to Leonard and his shadow, potentially some stuff with Dunn maybe. Obviously, Klein's gonna have some crazy stuff going on, and ultimately there is the question, will Tingan City survive in any real form? But beyond that, this episode really is simultaneously a payoff for the vast majority of the season, and a setup for the finale. We're going to be just going straight into the chaos of Doomsday occurring, or the build up to it at least, and we're going to see the consequences of that. Really, the only other element I have to acknowledge about the episode off the top of my head here is that it is interesting to learn that the Demoness sect, and at least Lenevus, but the Aurora Order in general, are in some way linked to this operation. They are connected in some way. There are a lot of pieces working towards this doomsday. The Demoness sect and the Aurora Order, we saw Lenevus and Sharon both next to each other in the one Magose memory of meeting him, which is a good little tie. Through Hood Ugin, we know that the psychological alchemists are involved. There's a lot of pieces in play. The Secret Order is somewhere mixed into all of this, maybe, but they realistically at this point are seeming more like they're going to be a grander scale thing that does not get resolved in any way here. We might, maybe, get a last moment stinger curveball moment from a member of the Secret Order, maybe, but we really don't need that. Their role in everything seems to either be disconnected from Doomsday or far grander than just Doomsday itself. But where that leaves us is that we immediately, as a threat, have Magose and the potential birthing of the new creator itself, or at least a avatar of it. Then beyond that immediate threat, we have several potential threats who we don't necessarily know how directly they'll try to stop the Nighthawks from delaying or stopping Doomsday. Most obviously, we have Lenevis. He is the sort of orchestrator of events as far as we can tell, but we also potentially have someone like Trissy or the Saintess in White, because we know that the Demoness sect is involved. There's no guarantee that they get involved, because Sharon seemed to be really the connective point to Lenevis, but you never know. We had in this episode, it established that they are connected, and they are two characters that we know were aware of this going on, at least to some degree. And then beyond that, of course, I've already mentioned the Secret Order being sort of a wild card potentially here, but then we also have the Psychology Alchemists, who, though our main member of them that we've met and interacted with so far, being Hood, is already dead, it is possible that, depending on how invested in this they are, that they might throw a couple more pieces into the field. I don't think any of those extenuating pieces are necessary, but depending on how extreme we want this to be, how elaborate we want this finale to be, that is all possible, I think. I think there's enough of a threat with just the thing Magose has turned into and the monster that she is carrying, but we don't know how extreme this is going to get. With all that said, I think I have sort of touched on everything I need to for this episode, and I am so incredibly eager to get into next episode. So with that, I think I'll leave things here. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and very special thanks to all of my channel members, including Amorphosilica, Desaize, and Pokelove 101 at the normal tier, and Kano Nano at the cool person tier. Really appreciate your support, as always, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye!